Hello everyone, this is Patrick, and today we are going to do a POM-O FCC. In case you're wondering what a POM of FCC is, it's 25 minutes Pomodoro timer of FCC, which is free code camp. I try to do this every day, hopefully. So let's go ahead and get started. We are still on CSS Flexbox. We're going to do 25 minutes. Let's start. Okay. We are on the use the flex direction property to make a row. Alright, so adding display flex to an element turns it into a flex container. This makes it possible to align any children of that element into rows or columns. You do this by adding the flex direction property to the parent and setting it to row or column. Okay, creating a row will align the children horizontally, creating a column will align the children vertically. Other options are row reverse and column reverse. Okay, note the default value for flex direction is row. So as I was saying yesterday is when you add display flex, it puts everything in line. So it's like row. Add the CSS property flex direction to the box container element and give it a value of row reverse. So you'll see the orange before the blue if you do row reverse. Flex direction is row reverse. There you go. You see they switched. Alright, next challenge. Apply the flex direction property to create rows in the tweet embed. The header and footer in the tweet embed example have child items that could be arranged as rows using flex direction property. So the header was, as you recall, was the photo and the name, I believe. Let's look. Header, yeah, it was a photo. Oh, it was all this up here. The photo, the name, the tag, and the or the handle, the follow button. All right, and then the footer was all this down here. Child items will be arranged using the flex direction property. Tell CSS slide and children horizontally. Add the CSS property flex direction to a header and footer and set the value to row. This probably won't do anything because it's default row, which is weird that we're having to do this. It's not really changing anything. It's flex defaults to row anyways, so don't really know the purpose of this one. Alright, use the flex direction property to make a column. So the last two challenges use flex direction property set row. Property also create a column by vertically stacking the children of a flex container. Alright, so this is going to be a column and you'll see them stack up. Column, and there you go. Alright. Apply the flex direction property to create a column in the tweet embed. The tweet embed header and footer use the flex direction property earlier with the row value. Similarly, the items inside the profile name element would work well stacked in a column, which is these two, which is the profile name. Add the CSS property flex direction to the header's profile name element and set them to column. Flex direction, column. There you go, you see it stacked. Looks better. Alright, next challenge. Sometimes the flex items within a flex container do not fill all the space in the container. It's common to want to tell CSS how to align and space out flex items in a certain way. Fortunately, the justify content property has several options to do this. But first, there's some important terminology to understand before reviewing these options. Here's a useful image showing a row to illustrate the comments below. Alright, we'll look at that in a second. Recall that setting a flex container as a row places the flex items side by side from left to right. A flex container set as a column places the flex items in a vertical stack, top to bottom. For each, the direction the flex items are arranged is called the main axis. For a row, the horizontal line, this is the horizontal line that cuts through each item. For column, the main axis is the vertical line. There are several options for how to space flex items along the line that is the main axis. One of the most commonly used is Justify Content Center, which aligns all the flex items to the center inside the flex container. Other options include Flex Start, which aligns items to the start of the container. For a row, this pushes items to the left. For a column, it pushes them to the top. This is the default alignment if no justified content is specified. Flex End aligns items to the end of the flex container. For a row, this is to the right. For a column, this is to the bottom. Space Between aligns the items to the center of the main axis with extra space placed between the items. First and last items are pushed to the very edge of the flex container. For example, in a row, the first item is against the left side, and the last item is against the right side, and then the remaining space is distributed evenly among other items. Space around, similar to space between, but the first and last items are not locked to the edges. The space is distributed around all items with a half space on either end of the flex container. Space Evenly distributes space evenly between the flex items with full space at either end of the flex container. Okay. Space around, space between, space evenly. I'm not familiar with space evenly. Is that a new thing? An example helps show this property in action. Good to see the differences, but note that the value of center is the only one that will pass this challenge. Okay, let's take a look at this image. Okay, so main size, cross axis, main axis, main start, main end, cross start, cross end. So you have cross and then main. So the main axis is always going to be horizontal for rows and then vertical for columns. That makes sense. Okay, let's play around with this. So we got 3 boxes here. We got a gray box, a Dodger blue box, and an orange box. Box 1, box 2. Oh, box container. Okay, so the gray box is actually the container. So if you deleted these other 2 boxes, this whole thing would be gray. Okay, so the gray is actually like the background. All right. So we're going to add a justify content to the box container element and give it the value of center. So let's go ahead and justify this content. Contents. Okay, so if we do flex start, that's what it is now. The blue and the orange are already at the start of the container. So let's do flex end and we'll see them move to the right. There we go. Let's do space between and you'll see them split up, one at the front and one at the end. There we go. And then if we do space around, there'll be not evenly spaced, half space on either end of the flux container. So let's see, space around, there we go. You see a full space in the middle, half space at the end. And then if we do evenly, there'll be an even amount of space between everything. There we go. So that's more like a striped pattern. Pretty cool. And then we'll do center. Push them right to the center of the box with no space between them. And of course you could fix that with margin or whatever if you wanted a margin in between these two. All right, let's run the test. So one thing that's cool about Flexbox is aligning stuff in containers. All right, use the justify content property in the tweet embed. Last challenge, you showed the example justify content property. For this tweet embed, the property can be applied to the items in the profile name element, which is this. Set the value to any of the options from the last challenge. So you got a box. Well, this is a column, so I think it looks pretty good right here. But I think maybe space around may look the best. Let's see. Justify content. Space between. We just put one at the top, one at the bottom, right? Yeah. Oh, there you go. Space between. It's a little far. Space around. I think that looks pretty good. Space even. I think, yeah, that even looks even better. I like the space evenly. I think that's the best way. Center might make him too